A Daughter for the Mountain Firefighter. By Melinda Curtis. Prologue. Cole Hudson was never going to love her. Rachel Quinlan stared at Cole's parked truck. The engine wasn't pinging or popping because it had long since cooled, and the sick sensation caused by unyielding truth settled in her gut. Oh, liked her well enough and had even taken her out to dinner and to the movies a time or two. If pressed, he might even say he loved her. But it would be clear that he didn't love her, not in the happily ever after kind of way. With tear-filled eyes, Rachel stared up at the blue sky blossoming above Eden, Wyoming, a sky that cruelly promised a beautiful October day fit for a wedding, someone else's wedding. It wasn't just that Cole was 4 years older than Rachel and treated her as if she still hadn't reached puberty. Heck, she'd filled out a bra 3 years ago, and Cole hadn't seemed to notice. And that fact wasn't for lack of bodily contact. He gave Rachel a hug every time he saw her, sweeping her up and twirling her around, his deep laughter rumbling through to her soul. Rachel sighed. Nope. The problem was Cole Hudson didn't love her like a man loved a woman. He could never love her that way. Because he'd lost his heart to Rachel's older sister, Missy. Not that this was a news flash. But in that moment, staring at Cole's truck on Missy's wedding day, the reality of it all smacked into 15-year-old Rachel harder than it ever had before. She was a silly, daydreaming girl, just like Missy always told her, wasting time staring at the sky and weaving fantasies that would never come true. Missy didn't understand Rachel's dreams of leaving home. Missy was a big homebody. Heck, Missy protested if she had to leave Sweetwater County, claiming to want only to provide a good home for Rachel and their father. And Missy had. Because of her sister's cooking and taking care of the house, Rachel could pursue her dreams. She'd earned her pilot's license this year, reveling in the joy of soaring through the sky. Rachel had even helped her father rebuild the engine on his C-119 warplane. It did seem disloyal to have such strong feelings for someone Missy had once so dearly loved, but Missy had let Cole go, which left the door open for Rachel, didn't it? Rachel fidgeted. Only if Missy and Cole didn't still love each other, which didn't seem to be the case. The impossibility of having Cole love her threatened to overwhelm Rachel as she stared at his truck parked in front of room 22 of the Shady Lady Motel on the outskirts of Eden. The question was, who was in the motel room with Cole? Rachel shivered, crossing her arms against her suspicions and the early morning chill. In less than 4 hours, Missy was supposed to be marrying Lyle Whitehall in front of God and everyone at the chapel in the valley on Main Street. Lyle was the son of Eden's mayor, who was also the bank president and holder of the note on the small Quinlan ranch and airstrip. Dad ran an air freight business, but he wasn't very good at making money, and Lyle and his daddy knew it. When Missy married Lyle later today, their worries were supposed to be over. Rachel had no clue as to what would happen to them if Missy didn't marry Lyle at 11 o'clock, but she'd bet it wouldn't be very good. Last night, Rachel had known there'd be trouble when Missy had slipped out of her bachelorette party, running down the sidewalk to Cole's waiting truck, blonde hair flying behind her. Rachel had been the only one to see her leave. She'd lied to cover Missy's absence. By that time most of the women were too tipsy to notice the bride had flown the coop anyway. She'd driven home in Missy's truck, hoping old Sheriff Tucker wouldn't catch her driving without a license. After spending a sleepless night waiting for Missy to come home, Rachel had climbed into Missy's truck again, her heart heavy, and driven back into town at daybreak only to discover what she dreaded to find, Cole's truck parked at the motel. Now she wondered, was there going to be a wedding? What in the world was Cole doing messing things up like this? Rachel couldn't leave town after high school graduation if Dad and Missy weren't all right. And marriage to Lyle would make everything all right. Suddenly filled with anger, Rachel ran up to the motel room door and pounded on it. Before her fist struck a third time, Cole opened the door and stalked past Rachel without so much as a glance. Missy huddled in the mussed bed, a sheet pulled up to her shoulders and tears streaming down her pale face. Missy, who had always been Rachel's rock, and who was model pretty at 19, looked like she'd aged a hard 20 years. Rachel forgot all about her own shattered dreams as she ran across the worn, stained carpet to comfort her sister.